Just before I start, I want to thank you, the audience, for your support on my Sky Dimension videos. I published that video expecting to get more dislikes than likes because I understand it is a much wanted feature everyone has high expectations for, including myself. Well, I'm glad I was wrong. That video has an 85% approval rating. It's probably clear to everyone now that I'm not afraid of voicing opinions which are challenging or different, and I'm grateful to the people who respectfully challenged my opinions in turn or openly changed their minds about the topics. I had a few comments on that video requesting me to delete my video before attempting to understand it, among other stuff I won't go into, but I'm grateful that you, the majority of my audience, conducted yourself with maturity and respectfulness and brought up points that were legitimately compelling and really represent this channel in a positive light. And because of that, my follow-up video was far more convincing. Thank you again, and I hope we can keep this attitude up. This is why I make the Dear Jeb series. So, Dear Jeb, I really hope you are doing well. When I think about custom, shall we call them, events in Minecraft, I think about zombie sieges, lightning bolts, and thunder, and skeleton horses. I'm mainly talking about things that can happen in areas that you have already explored. So why am I talking about this? Because I believe custom events have a lot of potential to keep things interesting in the game, and they are underutilized. I hope this video can really change people's opinions on how powerful these tools can be. Oh yeah, and also my Twitter followers thought that it would be a more interesting topic than the other things I had planned. Let's talk about the current game. Imagine you are working on building a potion farm in your underground house when lightning strikes. This is a rare opportunity to find charged creepers, and therefore a small window of time to collect creeper, zombie, and skeleton skulls. So, a few simple mechanics have been created here. Lightning suddenly makes an area you know pretty well become an opportunity for the player to hunt and detonate charged creepers. The simple addition of lightning charging creepers and charged creepers causing mobs to drop skulls has resulted in a shift in gameplay that the player can opt into. Custom events also add a layer of discovery. Imagine being a new player and during a storm you discover a charged creeper or a skeleton horse. An event can be simple as just making a rare mob spawn like the skeleton horse and charged creepers that I mentioned. There could be potentially more of this. Before I suggest any ideas, let me explain some important points to consider. Simply adding custom events is not a good idea. The events need to be well telegraphed, understandable, and create some kind of shift in gameplay. If there was a small chance of a portal appearing somewhere which spits out endermites, there are issues with that. Firstly, fighting a bunch of endermites isn't very interesting and can be quite annoying. Second, if the event can happen anywhere at any time, that is unfair on the player. Look to current events for inspiration. Lightning can occur on the surface of the world during a thunderstorm. Zombie sieges only occur in the villages and quickly turn a peaceful village into a battleground. If you are going to add events, make them avoidable, make them change the dynamics of the game. I mean, they don't have to change the dynamics of the game. An aurora in the night sky would look neat, for example, and adds to the player's experience. But there is a lot of potential for events like this to become interesting, and potentially makes better use of the developer's time, as I talked about in my polar bear video. If you're going to add a custom event, don't just stick with the aesthetics. Give it some kind of use to make it worthwhile. Here are some of my ideas for custom events, but keep in mind the purpose of this video is to sell concepts, not just little ideas. I don't actually mind if the developers choose to, or choose not to implement anyone's ideas, but I do care if what they implement has meaning, and that's why I'm making this series in the first place. That's why I made the polar bear video. Anyway, here are my ideas which will hopefully give, at the very least, some inspiration for this concept. Maybe during auroras, or some people call it the northern lights, enchanting tables exposed to the moonlight are cheaper and you have a higher chance to get better enchantments. This won't change the way the player behaves much during the event, but it will encourage the player to take this event into consideration when building enchanting rooms and challenges the player to become more creative because of the possibility of such a situation arising. See, custom events don't just have to affect gameplay during the event. Sometimes, just the time leading up to the event can be game changing. Okay, so imagine walking through the Nether, and then this happens. Of course, this would only happen in Netherrack, which is in the Nether, high up, and is exposed to air below it. That way, builders will be unaffected by such a change. You need to consider these things. This would make finding fortresses less of a chore, and will create suspense before the event occurs, and a bit of action during the event. In addition to this, those flaming silverfish could drop gunpowder, glowstone, or quartz to make the fight worthwhile, and to make those materials a little bit more renewable. Or maybe you are roaming the desert when you see something rare. You see this. What I'm saying is this: if custom events are well implemented, they could make travel more engaging and add interest to existing areas while not being a huge interference to the player. The Minecraft world is very still. Adding custom events will bring life to the game without having to add structures or mobs. It removes predictability from the game without complicating it too much. It changes gameplay without expectation. It brings new meaning into the world, and that is why I believe the game will benefit from custom events in a much more significant way than you would first believe. Do not underestimate their power. Hey guys, just a quick update about the DearJeb series. I don't plan on running this series indefinitely, as I only have about 6 or 7 more topics to discuss. After that, the DearJeb series will only come back to the channel after a few snapshots are released and I have tested them. I want to know what kind of topics you'd like me to address before the series ends. Keep in mind, I will not simply make a video about a random idea you had. I'm not going to spend an entire episode wishlisting all your crazy mob or structure ideas. Instead, we need to discuss concepts. We need to discuss how the features can be added, not mindless suggestions which hold no weight like, we need tigers in the game. Instead, phrase your idea like how social interaction can be improved, or balanced ways to improve building in survival mode, because those topics are more important and more thought-provoking than just something like, we need tigers because they will look cool. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. I will see you soon. I might actually bring this series back maybe in a couple of years after I finish my game design course at university, but we'll see how we go. Anyways guys, thanks for watching. I will see you later.